I just released a dress called the Charlotte dress. I'll show you. This is the first one I made. This is the one that I'm keeping. I'm in love with it. I was kind of inspired by the 60s silhouettes, and I used thrifted materials for all of them. A lot of the lace is actually vintage, like it was passed down to me from like family friends that used to sew. And yeah, if you want to recreate it at home, then here's a full tutorial. And I also made the pattern available in extra small to extra large. So I'm going to be showing you step by step how to recreate this. Also, I'm filming this before I release the dresses, so I don't know if they sold out or not. I probably released them like a week ago. But yeah, if you want to buy one, then, well, I'll write here if there's some left. Either way though, the pattern is available on my website, so I'll link that below along with all of my other social media. Okay, so print the pattern, and then if there's an option between actual and fit, print it in actual. This is really important because if you print it in fit, it's not going to be the right size. It's not going to match up. So place the pages so that there's no gap between the pages or overlapping at all. They should fit perfectly together like this. So this black piece is the piece that I digitized. This is the front piece, and the side that says place on fold is supposed to be just slightly over 28.5 inches. So if you want to just make sure that you printed it the right way, then look for that measurement. And then cut out the pattern along the outside lines. You should have a front piece that looks like this and a back piece that looks like this.
So I folded the fabric and then I put this place on fold on the fold. And I'm actually going to cut the seam allowance on the dart out, just because I want to mark on the fabric exactly where I'm going to sew. You don't have to cut this out, it's just something that I prefer to do. So now I'm going to cut it out. I make all of my patterns to fit me, and I'm 5'4", so if you're taller or shorter, you can customize the pattern to fit your height. This one I'm actually going to sell, and I want to make a tall version of the small pattern. So I'm going to cut like the armhole, and then drag the pattern down a little bit, and then cut down to the waist, and then drag the pattern down a little bit more, and then continue cutting, and then drag it down more again. So you can see this is my original pattern, and then I cut that and then just kept dragging it down. So this one fits 5'3" to 5'5"-ish. This one will probably be good for like 5'7" to 5'9". So now I have this part, the dart, so I'm gonna cut out what was cut out of the pattern. So if I wouldn't have cut this part, I'm just gonna trace like this. But I don't think that I really need that piece to cut it. I can kind of just like see with my eyes how much is a centimeter. So I'm doing that. The reason I cut it out is because I like to mark with a marker where to sew it, or with chalk. This might actually be better with chalk. So I pinned along the chalk lines on both sides of the fabric, so when I flip it over you can still see the pins. And then I did a chalk outline so that we know where the dart is on this side too. Even though this is not super necessary because you could definitely just eyeball like a centimeter away from the cut. Now I'm folding the fabric right sides together, and you're kind of just ready to sew the dart now. I'm gonna pin it just for fun along the chalk outlines. Okay, so this is the front. I'm gonna put it to the side for a second though and cut the back. The back is easier because there's no darts. I nearly forgot this. Because I made this a tall version of the small dress, I'm going to use this as an outline. So I'm still using the pattern as a guide, but I'm obviously gonna base the length off of this. So I cut this part because I left it the same as the pattern, and now I put the front part on top of the pattern. And I'm gonna cut this. This looks the same. And then pull the pattern down. I'm just making sure that this seam is always matched up. Okay, the rest looks pretty much the same, so I'm just gonna do this. And if one side is longer than the other, then I'll just cut it when I get to that point. Okay, so front and back. So first I'm gonna sew the dart, and then I'm going to use my serger to finish all of the edges. So this is the dart. I'm just gonna do a straight stitch right here that tapers off very slowly. So I did that on both sides, and to finish it off, I'm just gonna use my serger here. If you don't have a serger, you can just use a zigzag stitch. You also don't have to cut off this part. I posted a couple TikToks about darts, and someone told me not to cut them. The reason I do cut them is because I find that the extra fabric here can be kind of bulky, especially with like thin fabrics, but you really don't have to. If you don't cut it, then it just removes a step, and it also doesn't make that much of a difference, so do what you want. If you do end up serging them, this is a serger tip that I just randomly stumbled upon last week. If you bring the tail to the front and then serge, then you won't have to worry about the tail at the end. Because now this thread is like running through these threads and it's just never gonna come apart. You can also just cut it off or do the trick with the loop turner, which would result in this, but it just takes longer. Okay, now I'm going to serge all of the edges so that both pieces look like this. And when I'm sewing the darts area, I'm pressing them down. Okay, now I'm attaching the pieces right sides together. So I'm pinning at the shoulders and on the sides. The back is looking slightly longer than the front, which is not a big deal. I'm just gonna cut the extra off and serge it again. Okay, and that's it for the serger. Again, if you don't have one, that's fine. Just use your sewing machine to do a zigzag stitch. So now I'm sewing a straight stitch on both of the shoulders and one of the sides. Only one of the sides because on the other side we're gonna add an invisible zipper. Okay, the two shoulders and one of the sides are attached now, so we're gonna do the invisible zipper on the other side. So I'm removing the standard foot and I'm adding an invisible zipper foot. This is what it looks like. It has these grooves under it. And I'm gonna unpin most of the pins. I want the zipper to stop like here, just to make sure that it's easy to get on and off. And so I'm opening it so that it's right side up. And then I'm placing the zipper right side down. So I'm going to pin this side right side down like that. And then this side also right side down. Okay, so both sides are pinned down. Make sure your zipper is longer than what you need. So I'm gonna unzip this all the way. And then I'm going to start at the bottom and do a stitch all the way up one side. So to use this foot, I'm going to hold the zipper like this and pull the teeth away, and then lower the foot so that the teeth are going under this nook on this side. And now I'm going to adjust the needle so that it's going into the zipper right next to the teeth. Making sure to backstitch too. And then obviously do the same thing with the other side. Make sure that when the zipper is zipped up, the pieces go together properly and it's not like uneven, like the bottom still lines up. So now that I can see it is even, I'm going to unzip it again and then just do the other side. And when I'm doing invisible zippers, I like to just keep it on the same nook. So I'm going top to bottom this time instead of bottom up, but it's the same thing. Okay, now I've zipped it up and I'm going to change the presser foot once again to a zipper foot. This is just so that I can sew this side near the zipper. Position it as close to the zipper as possible and move your needle so that it also goes as close to the zipper as possible, and sew. Sewing all the way down. Also, this might be hard to tell, but I sewed the zipper down to here. Like it's attached down to here, and then with the zipper foot, the stitch I did started here. So it goes higher than where I sewed the zipper, and this is important because I'm just going to snip the zipper. But because I did a stitch all the way up here, when I open it, it's gonna be stopped right here because of the stitch. Okay, now we have the base of the dress. And I'm gonna use this lace. Just make sure you have enough to fit around your rib cage and then to tie in a bow. I'm not sure what the exact measurement is. Okay, this piece fits probably perfectly. Okay, this piece is 70 inches, which is probably gonna be a bit too big for the size small, but I'll cut it after I tie the bow and everything. Before I do that though, I'm just gonna finish all of these edges by folding in once and then doing a top stitch. Okay, so I finished all of the edges like this, as you can see, and now I'm going to add the lace. If you're making this for yourself, what I would do is put on the dress and then pin under the bust area where you think the ribbon would be nice, and then take it off and add the lace
where you marked. I'm also gonna add marks to the pattern, like here where I suggest to add the lace. So you can also just lay this on top of the dress and then pin. Either way though, just make sure that this measurement from the armpit to the lace is the same on both sides. So I'm pretty sure on this one, it's 4.2 inches. I'm gonna change my thread so that it matches the lace. And I pinned it all the way around the front and the back because I wanna make sure that it matches up all the way around. So I'm gonna start here at the zipper and I'm also gonna finish at the zipper. So I'm gonna start by sewing a straight stitch along the top of the lace. And as you can see, I started sewing like 1 centimeter away from the invisible zipper. I'm gonna seam rip the invisible zipper right here, but for now I'm just gonna worry about this part. So I did the top, and now I'm gonna do the bottom. Something that isn't necessary at all, but that I like to do is to measure this. So this is like about 16, and then find the middle, which is 8. And I'm going to add a pin there. So this is where the bow is gonna be. And when I sew the bottom part, I'm going to lift the lace up like this a little bit. This is so that when I put the bow on, it looks like it's all actually just one piece. For example, this one I couldn't really do it because the lace was so thick and you can see the band like on the top and the bottom. So I'm just trying to minimize that. Okay, now I'm going to seam rip the zipper right here and here, and then put the lace under the zipper. And then I'm gonna change to my invisible zipper foot again and just sew this back up. Okay, now that I did that on both sides, it should match up decently like this. It's not perfect, but nearly. And now the last thing to do is to add the bow. I had some lace left. If you're also making a size small and have a 70-inch piece of lace or ribbon, then you should also have enough left. So I'm gonna do the bow very slowly so that you guys can see. So I take it like this, above my 2 fingers, holding it in my right hand, and then around, and then through here. So under. Like this. And now I'm going to pull this around, like over on top, but more like on the side, so that it's going under this loop that I just created. And then I'm going to just pull it like this to create the knot. And there. You can adjust it to as much as you want by pulling on the ribbon. And now I'm going to find the middle of the front. And I'm going to hand stitch this part with a thread and needle. So I double knotted it and then pulled it up through the front layer, and then I'm going to go into the back of the bow. Make sure you're using a thread that matches the lace. And now I'm going back down, and I'm just going to keep doing that. And just secure it as much as possible. I'm going to do a couple knots and then weave it through the material a couple more times and then cut it. So this is it. The frame is not big enough. This is the dress. Okay, so it fits me perfectly except for it's a little bit long. Usually they would end like here because it's supposed to be a mini dress. These dresses fit me perfectly. This is size small in the regular height, so straight from the pattern. Okay, that's it for the video. If you make this dress, please send me pictures. I would love to see. And if you have issues with it, just send me an email or a DM. But yeah, the pattern will be linked in the description. All of my social medias will also be linked in the description. I'm going to be posting YouTube videos and patterns on a more consistent basis, so follow those if you want to keep up with that. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Kisses.